welcome back to the channel. Thanks for clicking on the video again. We are on the second weekend of the February challenge, and this week we are in Glen Affric. And Glen Affric is an area that I know very well, and I'll talk a bit more about that later on in the video. But this week's camping setup is going to be a hammock. Now, DD Hammocks were kind enough to send me one of their DD Frontline XL hammocks, and this thing is huge. So the plan is to camp in the hammock with the dog. Now, I'll be honest, I haven't done hammock camping before. I've done it once, and that's mainly because of I'm never sure what to do with the dog. He's not a small dog, he's just under 30 kilos, so yeah, it could be interesting. The weight limit for this hammock is 125 kilos. I am just under 100 kilos, and like I say, he is 30 kilos, so if you do the maths there, yeah, we might end up on the floor during the night. But the nice thing about this hammock is it can be used as a bivvy as well, a ground bivvy. And I've got my sleeping kit. I brought a wool blanket again, so we should be fine. It's just one night. So yeah, we'll head on in to the forest properly, find a spot, and I'll take you through the hammock setup, which is probably going to take me a bit of time because, like I say, I've not done this type of thing before. So yeah, let's get on with it. But like I mentioned earlier, I'm going to be using the DD Frontline XL hammock. It's a big package. It's bigger than both my One Tigress smoky hut and the other tent I use for sort of backpacking and things, which you'll probably see next weekend. But like I say, this thing's massive and it looks like it's going to be really comfortable and roomy, so we'll get that set up. So, yeah, I don't want to mess around because this is all new to me, so we'll get into this straight away and start setting it up. So we've already run into a problem. The distance between the trees is okay, but the trees themselves are so big and it's taking so much webbing to wrap round them that then there's not enough to stretch between the two trees. So I'll have to have a look for another spot. There's plenty of options here. This would have been really nice, but yeah, can't be helped. So I'll look for somewhere else and try setting up again. I've been looking around for quite a bit, and I think I found something that will work here. The problem is that a lot of these trees are the perfect space apart, but they're just so big that they use so much webbing when you're tying them off that there's just not enough. So anyway, you're looking for about 3 meters between the trees, maybe a little more, and at each end of the hammock there's this webbing, and it's just a case of wrapping it around the tree and tying it off. I'm just using an overhand knot. That's it really. That's pretty secure. Okay, the hammock comes with 2 spreader poles, so they go in next, and it has a bug net attached to it. Now I don't need that bug net at this time of the year, but I'm just trying it all out, and I'd quite like, if I've got the dog in with me, to have something to zip him into. So I'll put the spreader poles in and see how that looks. Both the same size, so it doesn't matter which is top and bottom. It's just a case of feeding them through. Like that. This is exciting watching, isn't it? There. So yeah, as you can see, it's big. Loads of room in there. The hammock is supplied with this pocket system for inside, so you can put your phone and all these kind of things. And there's two loops on the inside to tie it off to. So I'll put this in just now as well. I've just found some bungee cord in the bottom of the bag. It's not the longest cord, so you know, it's maybe only 1 meter. There's a loop on the back here as well, and I think it's probably just to keep the poles taut. Doesn't seem to be a problem at the moment, but I'll add them anyway. I've just tied it back off to the webbing itself. Shouldn't be a problem, but yeah, just gives that a little bit more structure. It turns out there's plenty of ridgeline, which is good. And for the trucker's hitch, I'm no knot expert or lashing expert by any means, but I've learned this one. So you want to take the end that's going around the tree, twist your hand over to make a loop, hopefully you can see that, then grab the line below it, pull it through, to make an actual loop, hopefully you can see that, and you pass the tag end through that and pull it all back on itself. I'll lift that up a bit. And then it's just a case of tying it off to itself. Okay, so I'll just show you up close. This is the bowline loop. That's gone round the tree and everything's been passed through it. Then that comes along. You've got the 2 prusik knots there. You see the other one just. and then the trucker's hitch going round the tree, through this loop, and then tying it off to itself. I should actually, as I've adjusted the other side, that's loosened up a bit, so I'll tighten that up and then I'll get the tarp on. I've actually got enough room on that side to tie it out the same as the back, so I'll do that. But I think for this corner, I think it'd be quite nice to tie it up just for access, at least during the day. There's a handy little snag on this tree that you can't see beside the camera, which I should be able to reach. So yeah, I think I'll go with that for now. There we go, all set up. Like I say, I've raised this corner for now, just for access to the hammock. I'll probably secure it down to the ground at night again. Weather's looking okay for tonight, just settled, getting a bit colder, but no real wind or rain, so we should be okay. One of the nice bits about this spot is there's this large rock in front of the hammock, which I wasn't planning on, but it's going to be ideal for having a fire on. There's quite a bit of moss and lichen on it, and I don't want to completely destroy that, so I'll probably build a bit of a fireplace on top of it. There's a large pine that's blown over with a big root plate just up at the top of the hill. I'm hoping that that's pulled a load of rocks out of the ground and I can use them. So that'll be the next job. Get a wee fire going, boil some water and have some lunch. You just slide it in between these two bits and it velcros closed. And if I'd been thinking about it, I would have had that on the other side to make it easier to put it in. But yeah, I'll remember that for next time. So yeah, there's velcro tabs and that just keeps it inside. So that's everything in. So I've got my sleeping bag. I've taken the sleeping bag liner as well. I think that might be overkill for the temperatures tonight, but sleeping bag liner, sleeping bag, and then I can pull the wool blanket over the top if I need to, and it'll also help keep the dog off me if he's a bit wet and dirty. This is just a standard pillowcase. I always just take a pillowcase and just stuff it with my jumper or something, and that does me fine. So that's everything set up for tonight. I'm just going to leave that alone now. It's all good to go. Quite happy with how it all went together, considering I haven't done the full setup before. But it looks good, at least. We'll see if it holds up for the both of us later on. Next task is firewood for this evening. I'm going to go into the plantation over the hill there, and hopefully there'll be some decent bits of dead standing that I can use. Go on in. Well, that looks about ready, so I'm going to tuck into this just now. I'll bring you back after I've finished my dinner. So we're both in. It's cozy. Darach's a wee bit unsure with the swinging, but it's feeling okay so far. So we'll see how we get on through the night. I'm not expecting a restful, unbroken sleep, but it's all a bit of an experiment anyway. But I'll say goodnight for now, and I'll see you in the morning. think that's me. I'm going to finish this coffee, get all packed up and head out. I don't have much time to hang about this morning, unfortunately. But thanks again for watching this far. That's weekend 2 of the February challenge. It's been another good one. The hammock was good fun. I think we'll try that again with a few tweaks. I don't think Darach minded it too much either. But I'll put some links in the description for the hammock and the tarp and some other bits and pieces. If you're interested, you can check them out. And if you want to hang about for a few more minutes and hear a bit more about Glen Affric and my role here, then please do. But if not, get smoked out here. Yeah, if not, I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for sticking around again to listen to my little ramble. I hope you enjoyed the camping video. It was a fun night. Where are we? We are in Glen Affric. Now Glen Affric holds the 3rd largest pinewood remnant in the UK, and the Old Caledonian pine forest is considered a very western boreal forest outpost, and Affric is probably the most western point of that. And as always, the devil's in the detail really, and I won't go into that just now, but you can see some quite big differences between pine forest here and a pine forest at Rothiemurchus that I was at last week. And the main difference is moisture. You know, this is a very wet pine forest. I just wanted to talk a little bit about some of the issues in Glen Affric and some of the work that's being done. And the reason I can talk about this in some detail is because I am actually the beat forester for Glen Affric. So yeah, it's my job to manage delivery of operations in the Glen Affric area. Now the majority of Glen Affric is owned by Forestry and Land Scotland, formerly the Forestry Commission, and there's also a private estate, Affric Estate. They own a small area of ground, small in the grand scheme of things, and the National Trust own an area of ground out the west end, and that's it. So the majority of restoration work, management, facilitation of any planting, conservation, all this stuff is by Forestry and Land Scotland. Yeah, a lot of that responsibility now rests with me and has done for the last 3 years, and it's something I'm quite passionate about. I want to fix this landscape. And what do I mean by fix this landscape? Because again, it's hard to explain to people sometimes that there's anything wrong with this landscape. But like I say, it's got the 3rd largest pinewood remnant, and that's great, although it does have its own issues, similar to Rothiemurchus when it comes to regeneration of other species and the ground layer being very thick and seedlings struggle to get through it. But outside of that, we've been trying to expand this forest for a long time, and one of the main problems, as always, is deer. The deer numbers are too high. Not necessarily in Affric, but on neighbouring ground, and those deer obviously come into our ground. So if you actually look at Glen Affric, pretty much all the forest is within a deer fence, and you will struggle to find a tree or any natural regeneration outside of those fences. And until more neighbours get on board, fences are a necessary evil. And one of the big projects I've been involved in recently, and we've actually just finished it, is 7 kilometres of new deer fence. And that has linked in with existing enclosures and unlocks an area of approximately 900 hectares for native woodland restoration, which is quite exciting. What that allows us to do as well, though, is remove a lot of the internal fences that are now defunct, which is always a good thing. And we hope to do that over the next couple of years. The plan for that area, we've got 250 hectares approved to ground prep and plant, all native species of course, and the rest of the area will hopefully encourage natural regeneration. It's a long-term project, we're talking 100 to 150 years before we see anything like a woodland, but I'm quite proud of the fact that I'm involved in taking steps that kick these processes off. Other work I've been involved in here, we've started to try and restore the montane scrub zone. We've got a couple of sites of high elevation native woodland, and that involves flying trees out by helicopter every April, so that's quite exciting, and we'll be doing that again this year. Hopefully I can show you some of that on the channel perhaps. So yeah, things are happening in Affric, but it's not perfect, Outside of these fences and at the far end of the glen, there's not a lot happening. Like I say, you will struggle to find natural regeneration or trees at all, and most people don't see that part of the glen because the nice bit is at the start, and many people don't go out that far. But when you see it, it's quite shocking compared to what you come through when you enter the glen. Yeah, I think that's it. I just wanted to flag up a few things, give you a little insight into what I do and what's happening in Glen Affric. If you've got any questions, just leave them in the comments below. I'll put some links to different things as well. One of those is a new initiative that's been spearheaded by Trees for Life, a nature conservation charity here, and that's a project called Darach Highland, which is a little bit like the Cairngorms Connect project. I'm hoping to work with landowners and local populations and make these landscapes work better for wildlife and people, and have a bit more joined up thinking, especially when it comes to issues like deer. But I'll leave it there. Like I say, thanks again for watching, and hopefully I'll see you next weekend on the third weekend of the February challenge.